Hello and welcome to today's edition of URP Practical Talk. I'm your host, George Gonzalez. And today in the studio we have Dr. Vishnu Bandhu and also Mr. Raul Aaron. Thanks for coming in.
Hey, thank you for inviting us.
Yes. So, how are things?
Things are excellent. We have begun to, of course, continue on our campaign trail. As you know, we have started campaigning from the time the last election was finished, from the time the 90 days was finished in relation to the other party in power. We hit the campaign trail because we believe that we have a specific brand of economic programs that we believe can really turn Guyana around. And we must understand two things. So basically, is that we have significant support from our overseas base in relations to not only uh, human resource capabilities that can assist greatly in relations to managing and running a political machinery. We also have a local base that we want to tap in on. We know that lots of persons have left Guyana and looking for greener pastures. We believe that the URP vision will bring those persons back home, and that is significant. So we're plowing very hard to sensitize the masses, both locally and overseas, about the United Republican Party's vision and how they can become a part of that vision. And we want to emphasize a lot on recruitment and persons joining this vision for a better Guyana.
Right. So, it sounds like y'all definitely hard at work. But, yes, so, Doc, how's things?
I'm fine. I'm fine. On the go as Ral said. All the time. Uh, I was in uh, Linden day before yesterday. Yesterday I was in Berbice. Keep on going all the time. Trying to get things rolling. So we are working very hard, very seriously.
Right. Well, I guess we can just go right into it. Well, of course, as always, you like to start off with a little bit of current events. I know one big thing that is happening right now is that the Exxon, you have the Environmental Protection Agency, that they're currently having public consultations around the nation in regards to the possibility of an oil spill and like what will be the national reaction. That what is the URP's viewpoint on the consultations or even just the concept of an oil spill
Well,
as a whole?
well, George, the oil spill is a very serious something. People does not realize how serious it is in Guyana. You know, I look at it very, very serious. It's not only, but if you get oil spill, that the fishes will die. Not only the fishes, but our rainforest, everything will down, will destroy. I don't know if you know that our rainforests, we have been getting money from overseas,
Yeah. Norway. Yeah.
Norway,
Yeah.
to keep that forest going. Because of what? Because of oxygen, right? So for them to get oxygen, it had said that 20% of the oxygen from the rainforest, not only in Guyana but South America, right, had been contributing to the world,
Wow.
right? If we get an oil spill, all of that will be cut off. We would not get anything from Norway anymore because we'll damage the environment. We have, for fishes, we have the more species of fish than any part of the world. Guyana has it. I don't know if you know that, right? We have so many different kind of animals in the rainforest. Up to now, they have been doing surveying and research, and still they can't come up. They want to know how Guyana have such of valuable thing,
Just last year,
right?
they actually found a new species of spider, never known to
Yeah,
man. Yeah,
yeah,
Yeah, and
you know,
that is something that is very significant in
yeah,
relations to what the oil spill can do in
hmm,
relations to damaging that.
right.
It is of significant importance, therefore, that the authorities, and I'm glad that they're having consultation. I believe it's good, but it's the effects of those consultations and the implementation of what the consultation would have gathered and garnered. Most of the Guyanese population live on the coastline,
mm,
and an oil spill will have a serious impact on our day-to-day lives. As such, it is of absolute imperative, it is imperative that Exxon and the authorities ensure that enshrined in the contractual arrangements, there is a clause there that speaks to oil spills and the cleanup after the spills. I believe, I don't have the direct facts and information, but I believe that right now, but I believe there is no clause in the agreement that the oil company Exxon will do the cleanup. We will have to pay an auxiliary company to do cleanup if there is an oil spill. And I believe those are some of the things that has to be looked at and have looked at very carefully. We must not go ahead and sign a contractual agreement that has not been thoroughly assessed in relation to the impact it's going to have on our people. So the United Republican Party is um, is in support of the the
EPA.
the consultants, them consultant, but it's too late. They should have been done way earlier in relations to exactly what would be done in case of noise.
Besides that, Rod, is that one of my concerns, we know they doesn't have any clause about oil spill,
mm,
right? If you have an oil spill, now remember we are getting 2% according to their contract,
mm,
right?
no.
So then where will we get this money to do this cleaning up?
Sure.
Huh? Where would we get the money to do the cleaning up if we are doing that? See, so this government have been saying in the last administration they've been selling out Guyana, but this government also selling out Guyana, as where I'm concerned, right? Because everything they do, right? I don't know if they're thinking about what they're doing or what not they're doing, because it doesn't seem like they're thinking what they're doing. So the URP is very, very concerned about especially this oil spill. Because if the oil spill, the birds all will die. You see it in East Africa and all those Arabian country when they got oil spill, the birds floating in the ocean and so forth.
Mm,
And the oil spill now won't even float there. The oil will penetrate into the earth
mm,
and destroy the earth from growing, from things growing. You know. So this government talking all the time of oil, 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 but they will get a very big disappointment in oil because as I said earlier, that the lords of the world said because of the electrical machinery what they start to invent now, oil will go down actually to $10 a barrel.
mm,
The I lord them of the world saying that, right? $10 a barrel. If ExxonMobil even get 25, $30 a barrel, they can't pull up the oil because they wouldn't pay them to pull it up,
yeah. I think they
right?
actually said they
And
need up to about $45 a barrel in order
yes,
to keep this
yes, to
operation
keep
profitable.
to keep them floating,
Yeah.
they need $45 a barrel. And the technologies of today's world is so high. Even China taking water today and make fuel,
Wow.
right? So you think what's happening, and the whole world want to go green. They're trying to go green because they realize there's too much of poison in the atmosphere. That is why Norway paying us to keep the rainforest going. the Amazon. We are part of the Amazon. So it is important for this government and all of us to show our concern. People who are talking about oil, 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 it's good if we can get a couple dollars extra to float us. But it also, if it backfire and we get all spill, then the few dollars that we'll be getting doesn't worth it because we'll be damaging our entire environment in Guyana. We are the most beautiful country in this region.
I'd argue the world, but that's
Right?
my personal opinion.
No, I'm talking about the region. I'm not going to the world.
Of course, yeah.
But I traveled so many countries, and there is nothing like Guyana in my book. The best natural resource, we have the most in the region. But we need our people to come together and understand these things.
And I find it interesting that you made the note to say that how technology is moving, that we're moving to a point in which that oil will no longer be profitable for some of these companies. That, in fact, it reminds me of the words of the former head of Saudi Aramco, the Saudi Arabian official oil company, and he had once said that the Stone Age did not end for lack of stones, nor will the oil age end for lack of oil. So it really shows that when you have the head of the largest oil company in the world, the largest oil producers in the world are starting to rethink their position on oil, it's probably something the rest of the world should take note of.
Yep, we should.
No, absolutely, absolutely. So, actually transitioning, going over to another thing with the URP. Well, I know, of course, we don't really like to talk too much about the oil, but we do want to talk about agriculture and some of the other things on the manifesto.
Well, they all come on agriculture because it damage a lot of things.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so, but I do want to talk about the manifesto, and of course, there's a very interesting point in the manifesto about the stimulus program. Of course, when a lot of people hear stimulus, I guess especially in the American context, and they think, well, we're all getting a $1,000 check or something, like So, well, can you tell us a little bit what exactly is that stimulus program?
The URP stimulus, we believe that any economy needs an injection, and it's imperative that the government sometimes come on board and inject monies into the economy to keep it rolling. But it must be done in a systematic and in a sensible way. I believe our economic stimulus programs that we've had, by several governments and and by several methodologies that has been used, has not been the correct method in relations to actually benefiting the Guyanese populace as a whole. We believe that an economic stimulus program must have a long-term effect in relations to benefits that can be accrued. And the United Republican Party's manifesto said clearly that on entering government, we're going to have an economic stimulus program that is going to benefit the populace in a very systematic way. The first area that we believe an economic stimulus program is needed is in education. We believe that there's lots of Guyanese, very smart, very bright, that want to go to school and to be comfortable at school, should benefit from an economic stimulus program. I believe the previous government has tried to stimulate the education system by giving $10,000 vouchers.
No, yeah.
I'm sure you would remember that.
Mm-hmm.
But the $10,000 voucher in itself caused a lot of social stress. Fathers who had not, taken care of their children for years showed up and wanted to take the kid to the school
Wow.
to get that $10,000 because it's $10,000 per child. And I'm sure you would have heard the story with the guy said he has 7 children home,
No. Yeah.
and when he got home, his wife said,
Yeah.
the other three is not yours, it's only two.
Yeah.
So I mean it's a good program, but it was not executed right. All right. The United Republican Party stimulus program would operate like this for education. A fixed amount of money would be allocated per family in relations to education. For example, if you have a child at University of Guyana, X amount of dollars would be specifically allocated towards their economics, their education at a tertiary level. That money does two things. The first thing it does is that it goes to the University of Guyana, and we know that our university is in need of serious financial help. So, for every child that goes to the university will be given a fixed sum of money per child attending the university. Now, this does not only ease the economic strain on parents sending children to the university, it benefits the university when they receive those funds. The university can do several things. The university can, first and foremost, repair the campus and make the campus more viable. Guyana needs a 21st century campus. We're struggling with a campus that is decades old. The University of Guyana need retooling. Several faculties need to be retooled. That economic stimulus that goes to the parent, that goes to the university, help to ensure that that happens. In addition to that, our university lecturers are being paid at a significantly lower cost and price salaries than their counterparts in other countries. This economic stimulus can also benefit them. So there is a long term residual benefit that will come because of the economic stimulus program in education. The University of Guyana campus will remain there. The teachers and lecturers will continue to receive better income. When you come into a school and you give a child $10,000, they buy uniform, the parents end up buying. I know parents that went and bought KFC for their children with the stimulus package. And that is because the stimulus package was not conceptualized. The methodology used to execute it was just not correct. So the URP program, stimulus program, will have a stimulus program for education. The education program would be for tertiary level. And this is just one aspect I can tell you about our secondary school package and our primary school package. It goes specifically towards the educational institution while it also give relief to parents that are sending their children to school. So we have not only said, look, we're just going to have an economic stimulus program. We're going to have a program that is really going to make sense. We believe also that another significant area for an economic stimulus would be in relations to manufacturing industry.
It's badly needed.
It's badly needed, small and medium-sized business. The United Republican Party's vision in relations to an economic stimulus within this sector will first of all start with the people, whereas each family will be allocated a certain percentage of monies that it would be specifically to be used to buy specific products. Those products that are going to be purchased with that economic stimulus package must only be products that are produced in Guyana. So, what happens then is industries and manufacturers and entrepreneurs, they're going to say, here, I have X amount of dollars that is going to come to me if I produce local products.
Exactly.
So what is going to happen
It's
is we're going to
incentive.
see it's an incentive for me if I have an industry to expand, or if I'm not into production, to get into production. What happens when I get into production? I need employees. So automatically, the stimulus program is going to create employment. What bugs me and it troubles the United Republican Party is that we have so many economists that are advisors to the authorities, and they cannot come up with positive programs that can stimulate this economy and move us forward. Industries, small and medium sized industries, will now feel more comfortable to employ persons because they are getting the rewards. Let's take baby pampers, for example.
Hmm.
Baby pampers are being imported from all countries all over the world. We need to be able to make that right here locally in Guyana so that we can create employment for Guyanese, so that Guyanese can begin to buy local once again. Let's take a look at the canning industry. If persons buy canned uh, juices and canned fruits that are produced locally, we had a company here in the 70s that is called Gaikan,
Hmm.
and that was before you were born. And that company was very, very efficient in encouraging local farmers to plant fruits so that those fruits can be canned at the canning factories. Well, I'm talking about that. If the government gives incentives in relations and they know that persons are going to buy, the stimulus program is designed specifically to help families and to help industry. Unless there is a domino effect, unless there is a consistency in relations to rewards that can come from an economic stimulus program, then that program fails and the monies disappears into the economy without anyone knowing and seeing what happens. No residual benefits. Let me tell you about another program that the United Republican Party has in relations to stimulus. We believe that X amount of the monies that are given to families should be specifically towards housing
Another well needed
and not a
value.
needed area. Each family is going to be given a specific amount of money per month that they can pay towards their mortgage. As such, they are going to be able now to receive a benefit and a relief from ownership of a home. Many Guyanese are being given land and they can't build. And you know that the government is now the previous government and this government had a program whereby if you don't build in X amount of time, they're going to
Take
take
it.
your land back. The government need to cushion that process with a stimulus that can help families to kick off their whole building. That in itself is going to kick off employment because there's going to be need for more contractors to build more homes. The manufacturers in Guyana that produces the raw material for building will benefit more because they would not have um, to be up against competitors from overseas who produce the products cheaper overseas because it's easier to produce the product overseas because there is less they pay less for electricity.
Yeah.
So when the product comes here, it's unfair competition. So they would now be able now to boost their particular industry and company that produces raw material to build homes. So that is another way that the United Republican Party believe that a stimulus program can be beneficial to Guyana and it can be beneficial to Guyanese in general.
And I feel like, especially when it comes to home ownership, it's so important because of, common financial advice they often give you. They say that your home is often your greatest asset, and that really for many people, home ownership is truly that first step to financial independence. So you can really change a lot of people's lives through
The, the economic stimulus program that the United Republican Party is going to implement is platform on a program that is similar to what the government is executing right now. But I am worried about their concept of what is being executed. Let's talk about the duplex that are being built right now. There are families that are running behind the duplexes. Those houses are not constructed for families, and there is not a positive, systematic way in which persons can actually buy a home. Now, let me explain. Duplexes are for single persons, young persons who are now trying to gain a home to live in. When those houses need to be sold between $3 and $4 million, because that's what they can afford a comfortable monthly payment. Say the home is $5,000 and that person can pay for that home within 4 or 5 years. And they would now have what is called equity of $5 million. They will now be given an opportunity to move to a bigger home because by then they will start to have a family. Given another youth who wants to get off on his own the opportunity to buy that home and to invest and to begin to accrue more equity. When that person would have finished paying now for a bigger home, they would now accrue 10 to 15 million dollars, and then they can now put that towards their retirement home and their positive home. So we are going to be teaching the society in relations to how to save and how to become economically stable so that we can have a better banking system. The banking system can feel more comfortable knowing that that person only have to struggle with that first payment. But when they would have finished consistently paying every month and have a $5 million equity, they will now be able now to put that as the base to move into a bigger home. So the economic recovery program is not just a program that we are just pulling out of the clouds. It's a program that we have studied. It's a program that Mr. Bandu has looked at from a business perspective and has placed his inputs in it in a very positive way so that we can actually have this executed so that at the end of the day, Guyanese can be able to obtain a home. They can be able now to obtain proper education. The educational institutions can be able now, through the economic recovery, through the stimulus program, be able now to sustain campuses and to ensure that the lecturers are properly paid. Industries can also benefit in relations to producing more locally, and also the employment process will be stimulated because of the economic stimulus that the URP intends to put in place.
Many,
Sounds like
many,
fun.
many other countries use it. Brazil, U.S., Obama and all these guys use these kind of programs uh, to help stimulate the economy.
Absolutely.
And
I think Brazil uses it.
Brazil will use
Yeah.
it too. So we have to be very cautious and careful, and how we going about spending our money in Guyana. We have to spend it on what makes sense.
Yeah.
And URP are doing a lot of study on all these different things, so that we can move forward instead of be stagnant here and just working for a paycheck to buy food.
Absolutely. So I guess with all that, because we're kind of coming to the end of our time, so are there any final thoughts that you'd like to leave us with?
Well, all what I like to say that I appreciate that people have been looking at this program all over this country. I go there talking about the URP Practical Talk, and they said we are making a lot of sense in what we are saying because we are talking, but we are not trying to only bad mouth the government or the previous party. We are telling you facts, what's happening, and they are not working into the people interests, especially the younger generation. And URP is focusing on the younger generation because we realize that the younger generation is the future of tomorrow. So I am appealing to all of you who are looking at us, please join us, join hands with us, and let us move Guyana forward, because 50 odd years we have seen what happened in Guyana. And if you don't get the URP on board, you got the next 50 odd years. So you better pack up your bag and move. Thank you, and God bless you.
So, all right. So thank you, Dr. Bandu.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Aaron.
Thank you.
Thanks. And so that's all the time that we have for today's edition of URP Practical Talk. As always, I'm your host, George Gonzalez, and we'd also like to encourage you to find our website, www.urpguyana.com, or even go on Facebook, URP Guyana. Again, thanks for watching.